Hey everyone, so I wanted to do a video all about sinking funds and the cash envelope system. I get tons of questions about both of these. I think some people are confused about like what a sinking fund is and how much money I contribute to it while I'm still getting out of debt, or do I put any money towards them? Or with the cash envelope system, like how do I get one started? So I get a lot of questions both here on YouTube and on my Instagram, so I just wanted to do a video dedicated to answering kind of those frequently asked questions. So the first question that I usually get often with sinking funds is, what are they? And the easiest answer is all they really are is a bunch of mini little savings accounts. Now for me, I have both electronic sinking funds through my bank account as well as actual cash sinking funds that I keep in an envelope in my cash box that you've seen in previous videos, if you've ever seen any of my my budget videos. And for the electronic sinking fund, all it really is like when you go to set up a bank account through like a credit union or just your regular bank, you have, usually it's the standard is a checking account as well as a savings account. All a sinking fund is, how I have them set up, is I have just more savings accounts. Now you can, most banks I'm pretty sure will approve if you want to have like an additional savings accounts. So for me, I have like a checking account and then I have a bunch of savings accounts. And when you log online, like to check your balance, you usually can change the names of the savings accounts. So I have like house fund or car fund, college fund, vacation fund, Christmas fund, and it's just a bunch of little savings accounts, and then I have my checkings account at the very bottom. And what's really great about that is just that every single month we sit down when we do our budget and we decide how much money we need to be dedicating to those accounts. So for my husband's college savings account, for example, every single month we put about $500 into that account. And if you do that consistently and you don't touch it, because it's just a savings account, you're saving for something bigger, whenever his tuition is due at the beginning of a semester, we can take that money, withdraw it, put it into our checking account, and then go pay for his tuition like online. Kind of the same with like a car sinking fund. All it is just a savings account for future expenses that you might have. You really want to be proactive instead of reactive when it comes to expenses that you might be facing in the future. The car, for example, you know, for us, like both of our vehicles are paid off, which is really great, but you know, they are vehicles, and at some point the miles are just going to get too high and the shocks are just going to be done, and you know, it's going to be, at some point we're going to have to replace one of our vehicles. And so what is good about having a car sinking fund is if you put money into that account every single month and you're not touching it, it starts to build and build and build and build. That way, whenever it's time to replace your car, you either have the cash completely ready to go buy it, or you have cash available to maybe fix it, or you know, rent a car if you need it. It's just a little mini emergency fund for your car. Now you can also have like a Christmas sinking fund, which is a really big one, which I suggest you have, that every single month you put money into that account, and you December 1st is when you start, you know, dipping into it to start buying Christmas gifts, or you know, whenever you need it, the money is available, and that's kind of the point of it. I also have cash sinking funds that are much smaller. Those are more for the monthly expenses that we have, like groceries or like personal money. What I hope to do is to be able to use the money that I need, but then if there's anything left, to keep it into the cash box that you've seen in my previous videos. That way you can start little mini sinking funds that, say if I have $400 for groceries this month and I only spend $350, well, that $50 is still there. Money doesn't expire. That's what's really great about it. So you don't have to spend it. So I can put it back in my cash box and just let it roll over to the following month, and that way I have a little mini sinking fund for groceries, because there might be one month that I have more expenses, like you know, say for Thanksgiving, for example, where you don't really think about the fact that you have to buy just a little bit more food, or you know, that you have more family coming over for Thanksgiving dinner and you need that cash, and it's nice to be able to go to an envelope and say, it's a good thing I have this additional $100 for groceries this month because of yada yada yada, you know. So that's what's really important about sinking funds. Now if you are trying to get out of debt and you wonder if you should still have sinking funds, my opinion is yes, you should. when we were getting out of debt, all I wanted to do was put every single penny that I possibly could towards the debt. And it's really great to have that aggressive attitude towards it. But at the same time, you really have to remember that you're gonna have expenses and you're gonna have things come up, and it's just a really good idea to have something available, even if it's in the smallest amount, like just to kind of take the hit off. And so my advice is, if you're getting out of debt, to still have sinking funds, but not to contribute as heavily. Just be putting a little bit of money into those accounts, even if it's only $25 or $50, like say for a car fund or something like that. A Christmas fund, make it, you know, $25. It's not that much money, but it will kind of take a little bit of the pressure off if you do need to use money for a certain, like a car expense or something like that. So that's my opinion. I think that everybody should have sinking funds available. And then once you're out of debt, then you can really start contributing a little bit more heavily to those accounts. Next question I get asked a lot is cash envelopes. And I think a lot of people are just, I think they see whenever I do like my like September budget and cash envelope video, people are always curious about how I was able to get so much money at the beginning of the month and be able to put that towards our expenses that have not even happened yet. And my advice to people, because people are like, I don't understand how you can do that, you know, because we live paycheck to paycheck, and you know, we're trying to get out of debt, and like we can't just go to the bank and withdraw, you know, $800 or $1,000 or whatever it may be. My advice is, just like you did with getting your $1,000 baby step number 1 completed, my advice is to kind of do the same thing with your cash envelope system. If you're wanting to do it kind of like how I do, where you take money out at the very beginning of the month, because all you're really trying to do is get ahead, if that makes any sense. And so I always tell people is, well, you know, say, first of all, I would sit down and say, how much money do we need this month for expenses? Say if on average you usually have like $400 for groceries, and then, you know, $100 of personal money between you and your spouse, and you know, whatever, and it turns out to be like $700 in cash every single month that you usually need in order to pay for those cash envelope expenses. My advice is, again, to treat it almost like it's like how you did with that aggressive when you're selling things, to try to get baby step number 1 completed, or working extra hours. It's just about getting ahead. So that means if you need to have a garage sale and you need to sell something, or you know, get a second job or something like that, just get that money available, so that way you have it, and that is dedicated for your cash envelopes. And then throughout the month, when you would normally be pulling money, say from that second paycheck that you get in the middle of the month for groceries, you're not having to do that because you already have that cash from the very beginning of the month that you got from selling things or having a garage sale and whatever. So then that money can go towards the next month's cash envelope system, if that makes any sense. Again, it's just really about getting ahead, and just really, even it might take you a few months to do that. It might take you 3 or 4 months to get like really serious and like really like nail down the budget, and don't go out to eat, or don't do, you know, don't spend any extra money to get that $500 that you would usually use for groceries or things like that. And so that's my advice. Or if you're not comfortable doing that, you can always do a 2-week at a time budget, where you meet at the beginning of the month, pull out cash from, you know, the next following paycheck for those expenses, and then meet again at the middle of the month and then pull out cash from those checks as well. Because the truth is as you continue to do this you know, Dave Ramsey plan, as the further and further along you get with the whole process, the more ahead you're going to get anyway, and the more money you're going to be able to accumulate, and you're going to see how this was really just a small obstacle that you had to get through. Because once you do it, and you have the cash, it's there, you're paying off debt, you know, the momentum just really starts taking off. Now, as far as what types of envelopes you need to have for your cash system, I try to keep mine as simple as I possibly can. So I have groceries, I have an eating out budget that we usually have, which is about $100 to $125 a month that we usually put towards that category. We have entertainment, which is about $100. We have our personal money, which is anywhere from $100 to $150 per person. And then we also have tithing, That's money that I take out as well at the beginning of the month. I don't take out cash for gas, just because for us, gas has never really been something that I need to be very strict about. We don't necessarily like abuse that category. You know, we just buy gas as we need it. It's never any more. If anything, is, you know, it might be less, you know, 1 month than normal, but for the most part, it's usually pretty consistent around like 200 bucks a month, so that's pretty good. We have a little one, so it's easier for me to just kind of swipe my debit card and pay for the gas right there at the pump instead of getting him out and going inside and all that stuff. What I'll do is I'll just leave the cash in available in checkings throughout the month, so I know that money is available for whenever we need to get gas for our vehicles. But besides that, that's the only, I think that's really the only category of money that I leave in our checking account. I do also always leave a little bit of a buffer in our bank account, just a very small amount, and I've discussed that before in a video where I think it's titled how to set up a budget or something like that. Because for us, I just have seen that every single time we try to do a completely zero-based budget, it just doesn't work for me necessarily, just because there's some months where, you know, there might be an expense that comes up that I wasn't prepared for, or something that I don't necessarily have like a sinking fund for. Like a sinking fund that I really need to, I guess, create now is one for my son as far as like school expenses, because he is in pre-K now. And like even the other day when I dropped him off at school, I didn't realize it, but they're starting up a new year, so that means new uniforms. So I had to write a check for $60 for new uniforms, and I didn't really have that money budgeted. But I always kind of depend on my little buffer that I have in our savings or our checking account. But you know, I should be more organized, and I should have something that's dedicated for a Connor sinking fund, you know, in that way. I can put a little bit of money into an account for him, say for school clothes or supplies, or if he wants to start, you know, T-ball next year, things like that. And I think the great thing about the whole budget system, the cash envelope system and sinking funds is that it's constantly changing. So it's entirely up to you. You can sit down with your spouse and you both kind of look at the budget together. You decide what you need for that month, what changes need to happen, and it can just be constantly changing and evolving. It's just really, really exciting. I am guilty of trying to constantly keep our budget exactly the same. I just love routine, and I just want everything to be the same every single month, because I want to be able to know what's coming for the following month. But that's not the case, and things are constantly changing and evolving, and we have to be as well. So thanks for watching. If you have any other questions regarding the cash envelope system and sinking funds, just leave a comment below. I'd be happy to answer your questions if I didn't answer them in this video, and I will see you guys later. Bye.